It is my pleasure to introduce Getrude. Getrude is an inspirational speaker, celebrated author, teacher, filmmaker, and humanitarian. Getrude is originally from Zimbabwe and now lives in New Zealand. She's written multiple books, has written screenplays, and is passionate about inspiring others to succeed. So welcome, Getrude.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, everyone. It is 5 o'clock in the morning here in New Zealand on a Sunday. So you're all talking to someone in the future right now. It's an absolute honor to be here to share this amazing day with all of you. And I want to share with you an African philosophy called Ubuntu, and how we can develop an empowering culture throughout the world if you understand this philosophy. Next slide, please. So in Africa, when we greet people, we say sabona. And sabona means I see you. Can you all unmute and say sabona for me?
Sabona.
Sabona. Thank you. So you've now all learned a very important African phrase. And sabona doesn't mean that I see you with my eyes. It means that I'm acknowledging you as another human being. And without you, I couldn't be human and you couldn't be human. So we try and explain the condition of being human by seeing each other's humanity. Next slide, please. This is me when I was little. When I was 9 months old, the baby in the picture is me. My mom and my dad got a scholarship to leave Africa and go to London to study. And they left me and my sister with my grandmother until I was 3 years old. The middle picture is me at the age of about 2. I lived in a tiny little village. I was severely malnourished. If you look at how chubby my cheeks were at the bottom, that's because the only food we had in my village was mainly corn and water. So cornmeal is the main food for African children. So I was very, very, very malnourished. My grandmother did the best she could to feed us. And we had to go into the bush and we would catch grasshoppers and eat grasshoppers. We would catch field mice because we had no protein. We had no meat in our diet. There was no milk. But when my parents had made enough money, they paid for me and my sister to go to London. And the next picture is me 1 year later. Living in a country where I had 3 meals a day, I just started to blossom and bloom and grow. But the most magical thing about these 3 pictures, when I look at them, is the magic of being a girl. My mom taught me how to dream to be anywhere in the world that I wanted. And so I became a traveler. I call myself an African nomad, because I have been to 56 countries and I am 52 years old this year. And this world is absolutely beautiful and magical. And I want to share with you a bit of my story. Next slide, please. So this African philosophy is a very ancient way of thinking. It's the spiritual foundation of most African societies, and it articulates the condition of being human. The emphasis is on connection, a radical connection to other people as a way to solve the world's problems. Next slide, please. So there are 3 C's in Ubuntu and 1 E, and I want to explain these to you. The first E is the word empathy. And empathy is when you can put yourself in the shoes of somebody else and see how they would feel. So imagine if you were a 9-month-old baby, like I was, and your mom had to leave you so she could go and study, how did that baby feel? I felt sad. I felt abandoned. I felt like my mommy would never come back again, but she did. So if you can put yourself in the shoes of somebody else and imagine and feel what they would feel, that's the word empathy. The next word is connection. You know, sometimes at school, you have children who are different in your classroom. I was always the only Black girl in every single school I went to. And sometimes people didn't want to talk to me because I was different. So if you see somebody who's different, you need to connect with them because they need you as a friend. The next word is compassion. Just being compassionate and kind and showing kindness every single day can really help you as a person, and it helps the other person even more. And the last word in Ubuntu is collaboration. Collaboration is when you do things together, when you play together, and as young women, and as women in general, our strength lies when we collaborate. When we work together, we get really strong. So these are the superpowers every single human being has got. But sometimes people don't use those superpowers. They don't use their strengths. Next slide, please. So empathy has no script. There is no right way or wrong way to do it. It's simply listening, holding space, withdrawing judgment, and emotionally connecting and communicating. That can be an incredibly healing message that you are not alone. Next slide, please. Connection. So this is me. When I grew up, I decided I wanted to help other children, especially children whose parents had died, because I knew what it felt like to be an orphan. Although I had my grandmother, my mom had left, and I felt like I didn't have a mom. So I started a project. I went back to Zimbabwe, and this is now my second pandemic. So you all know what's happening in the world with COVID-19. There's going to be a lot of children. Some children's parents are going to die. They're going to need to have friends. So if you find anybody in your community, in your school, you need to help them. So I went back to my village and I started this project, helping orphaned children. And in the last 20 years, I've helped over 550 children. I raise money for their school fees so they can go to school. I help raise money so they get some food to eat every single day. I raise money so they can get medication because some of them are very ill as well. So always go back to your community and try and help if you can. Next slide, please. Connection. What is connection? Connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, when they are heard, and when they are valued, when they can give and receive without judgment, and when they derive sustenance and strength from the relationship. So relationships are really important. I'm sure a lot of you have got some friends. A lot of you know somebody who doesn't have a friend. Connect with them. Loneliness is the worst thing that can happen to any human being. And there's no reason why we should be lonely in a world full of people. So it could be as simple as saying hello to a stranger when you're going out in a supermarket. It could be something as simple as knowing that the old lady who lives next door doesn't have family and friends, and you just wave to her every day when you're walking past her house. That's what you can do to connect with other people. Next slide, please. Compassion. The most valuable thing that you have is your relationships to other people. Most importantly, to your mom and the women around you. So this is my mom.
She's beautiful, Getrude. She's absolutely beautiful.
And unfortunately, she died during COVID-19. And I couldn't go back to Zimbabwe. to bury my mom. So after today, I want you to make sure that every chance you get to be with your mother, you hug her first thing in the morning when you see her, and you tell her that you love her. You hug her when you come back from school, and you develop a good relationship with your mom. I was very lucky because I went back to Africa before COVID-19, and I took all of these amazing photographs with my mom. I didn't know I'd never see her again, but I've got 3,000 pictures. Pictures are very important. If you've got a phone, or if mom's got a phone and you go somewhere, take pictures so you can remember your family. So compassion starts with loving the people in your family, the people around you, and remembering that they will not be there forever, but you can create the memories. So my time is up. I thank you for listening. I thank you for crying with me, because the ones who are crying, you're showing empathy because you know how I'm feeling right now. So compassion are the roots of lasting relationships at home, in the workplace, and when you have that deep listening and mindfulness and compassion, you can change the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Getrude. You're getting lots of virtual hugs from the girls. They're sending you all their positive energy, and they're sorry for your loss. We're all sorry for your loss. So any questions for Getrude, girls? Either type them or unmute yourself.
Sophie, do you have a question? You can unmute yourself and ask, okay?
How was it like losing your mom?
It was very difficult. Very, very difficult, especially when I'm so far away. My mother lived in Zimbabwe in Africa. And when the lockdown happened, I was supposed to be going to Zimbabwe to be with her because she wasn't well. But I had lots of friends. I had family. I have 3 children. And although we are in different places, my daughter lives in Melbourne, my sons live in New Zealand, but we couldn't be together. But we got together on Zoom the day of her funeral, and we all were able to share our sadness that day.
Amelia,
got a question.
so when you felt different from all the rest of your classmates in school, what pushed you to keep on going forward and going to school and keep on going?
What pushed me was the value of education. You know, in Africa, we had a system where Black children didn't get a good education. And if you wanted to get a good education, you had to go to the white schools. So my parents forced me to go. I didn't want to go. But they told me that if I got an education, I could do anything in life. And so I did. And when kids wouldn't play with me, I would read. I became an author because I love books. The books were an escape. If nobody wanted to play with me, I would just read lots and lots and lots of books. And now I'm an author. So the worst thing that could have happened to me, not having friends when I was in school, was the best thing that happened because it turned me into an author. It made me love to read. So education is the most important thing in life, especially when you're a woman. I became a systems analyst. So my first job was in computers. And then I went into business. I have a business degree. And then I majored in industrial psychology. So I've got a psychology degree. And then I went into film. So I have studied and loved education my whole life. And I've done so many different things because of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia.
Thank you too.
All right. Well, we have 3 minutes left for our
Emma's got a
program.
question. Maybe Emma could ask the last one.
Absolutely.
What was your favorite thing of your mama?
The most favorite thing about my mom is that she was funny. She used to crack the most crazy jokes. We were always laughing when I was with her. And that's what I'll miss the most. But the thing is, I remember those jokes. She's in my head, she's in my heart, and I'll never forget her for that. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Getrude. Did a phenomenal job pushing through that emotion for our girls, and they just love you and are sending their hugs to you. So I'm going to move next to Nancy, and she is going to wrap us up.
So thank you everyone for attending today. And Getrude, that was so moving. My mom is not well and she's in Missouri and I can't go visit her. And so it's very touching to me. I do want you to, if you filled out your global girl in the news picture, I did mine. I didn't draw mine because I'm not very good at drawing, but you can hold yours up now if you'd like to share that with us all in our closing. So we see a few of them there. I see Emma's up there. Let me see if I see anybody else holding theirs up right now. Yes, I see Yenna has hers up there. Thank you. If you didn't get a chance to fill that out right now, draw your picture, you can do that later. But thank you for joining us. And I'd like to share, there was one girl on here, Amelia. One of her leadership qualities she wanted to share was courageous. She said this means to not be afraid to try something new or make mistakes. Also to know that mistakes can help if you don't give up, but instead learn from them. This can make the world a better place by someone making mistakes and not giving up, but learning from them. This can lead to new inventions and ideas. So thank you, Amelia, for that thought about leadership skills.
Of course, thank you too.
That was